The views expressed on the following broadcasts do not necessarily reflect those of KHLT, Take 12 Radio, or our affiliates. The opinions on this show should not be considered as medical, psychological, or professional advice and are those of the host, co-host, and guest. Take 12 Radio and KHLT Recovery Broadcasting are not affiliated with any particular 12-step fellowship.
Mama says you're brain dead, bang your head against the wall. Can't find peace of mind, brain needs an overhaul. Bonehead, brain dead, we're all the same. You can't think straight when your heart is in pain. Turn around, hit the ground, time to lay your burden down.
And now, joined by the Take 12 Recovery Radio family, it's your overly opinionated host, the Monty'man.
Turn around, hit the ground, time to lay your burden down.
Oh, I almost missed my cue there. Welcome to the Take 12 Recovery Radio Show. Denver is here.
Howdy.
And sitting next to Marv, if you're watching on YouTube. Wave, Marv.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, and there's Margie.
Good morning.
And there is Dave Fleming, the Vid.
What's up?
Yeah, happening, guys.
What's up?
Yeah, welcome to Monday's broadcast. We were not here last Monday because we were on vacation, vacationing on the beautiful Oregon coast. It was my birthday. It was my 65th birthday. Speaking of birthdays, Dave, is this a special day for you?
Every day is a special
Come
day
on,
for
Dave.
me.
Give it up. Give it up, Dave.
Yeah, 16 years.
16
today,
years.
October 12th, 2004.
16 years of sobriety. Congratulations.
My recovered date.
Yeah. So here on the Take 12 Recovery Radio Show, we have a little ditty for you. Are you ready?
Uh-oh.
Here we go.
Don't.
Happy birthday, your life still isn't over. Happy birthday, you did not accomplish much, but you didn't die this year, I guess that's good enough.
Wow.
Wow. I was going to say, I hope you're not going to play the other song. We'll have to pay royalties.
Yeah, we're not doing that one. I got to play that one more time. Here we go.
Is that it? I mean, is there more to it?
No, that's it.
That's it.
Happy birthday, your
Happy
life
birthday.
still isn't over.
That's right.
Happy birthday, you did not accomplish much,
Not
but
much.
you didn't die this year, I guess
ditty.
that's good enough.
That's weird. That was strange. Something got weird in the... Well, anyway, happy
Maybe
birthday.
it's COVID.
Maybe it is. Well, Dave, congratulations, man. That you did accomplish much. That's a great accomplishment. 16 years.
Awesome.
Yeah. Good for you.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. So I'm going to do something right now. I'm going to pause this. Listeners aren't going to know that the time's gone by because I'm going to unpause it really quick, unless you're on YouTube. So hold on. I got to see something here. So we're back. Sometimes equipment just does weird things. Dave, you know about that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Some days it just doesn't work at all, and then the next day it's perfectly fine. And
Yeah.
I can't explain
It's
why.
weird. Yeah, it's very weird. Well, hey, Margie, how you doing?
Good. How are
Yeah,
you?
I'm chipper.
Good.
I'm chipper. Marv?
Hey.
Yeah, yeah.
great.
Doing good?
Yeah.
In Denver? Okay, fine.
You got that right. Falling into fall.
Yeah. So this show's topic is I don't know, maybe for some it's a little controversial. It's why the phrase "take what you need and leave the rest," in my opinion, is a bad idea. It's a bad advice, particularly for the newcomer, and I'll share with you why I feel that way, and maybe we'll have some opposing views. That's always fun. But yeah. So, we haven't done a Monday show in a week, so I thought let's do a little controversy, right? I mean, why not? What? Oh.
Don't cry. Don't cry.
All right, everybody hold your horses.
Trigger.
Just stop for a minute. Because
Okay.
it's time for the Monty'man's Weekly Wine. Here we go.
Oh, boy.
Your intro. We close our eyes every week for a moment, and we hear the same
Dave's falling asleep.
whine from your lips. The whining's driving us all insane.
Right, Marv?
Yeah.
Whine, always whine. Always whining and complaining, whine.
Oh, boy.
Monty loves to whine.
Yep.
Well, we know that's for sure. So go ahead, Monty. Give us your whine for the week. Give us your weekly whine. Go ahead. Go ahead. Give it to us. Give it to us, Monty. Give it to us. Come on. Come on.
I hope it's not about baloney.
No, it's not.
Good.
Oh,
About
man.
salami.
So I've complained about this institution before. I'm going to do it again. Why not? Nothing is more frustrating than when you go through the drive-thru and you get home and your order is not just a little messed up, but majorly messed up. Especially when you've gone through the process of explaining yourself to the person behind the microphone at the drive-thru several times. And maybe that's the problem. If you've got to repeat yourself several times, they're just too confused. This is why you should not pay burger joints $15 an hour.
Well, maybe it's because they didn't touch your food at all.
Or did they?
Well,
Who
according
knows?
to the regulations, right?
I don't know. But if you got if you got something like this going through the drive-thru, I can understand why you would get the order wrong.
Hi, may I take your order, please?
Big Mac McDLT, a quarter pounder with some cheese, filet of fish, a hamburger, a cheeseburger, a Happy Meal, McNuggets, tasty golden french fries, regular and larger sizes, salad, chef, a garden, or a chicken salad, oriental, big breakfast, egg McMuffin, hot dog, cakes and sausages, maybe biscuits, bacon, egg and cheese and sausage, Danish hash brown, 2 and 4, dessert, hot apple pies and sundaes, 3 varieties of soft serve cone, 3 kinds of shakes and chocolatey chip cookies, and to drink a Coca-Cola, Diet Coke, and orange drink is right, and coffee, decaf, 2 a loaf, and milk, also an orange juice. I love McDonald's, good time, great taste, and I get this all at one place.
Would you like that to go?
Now, if that's the order that you were giving, it would make sense that they would get your order
Why don't
wrong.
you just say one of everything?
Why
That
not?
would have been quicker.
It wouldn't have made
clearer.
it wouldn't have made such fun copy though.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I go through the McDonald's drive-thru yesterday morning, and I simply ask for sausage egg McMuffin, right? 4 sausage biscuits with extra sausage. 4 sausage biscuits. That's 4. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. With extra sausage. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 extra sausage patties. When I get home, and by the way, this is the McDonald's. You know, I'll throw them under the bus.
Got 4 biscuits?
No,
yesterday?
I had other family members here.
Okay. Oh my goodness.
Did you tell them specifically to add an extra patty?
Absolutely, and they repeated it back, and it was on the board. It showed me the price, the whole thing, right? So I get up to the next window to pay, and he repeats it back totally wrong. The same guy that just did it at the speaker is the same guy, the microphone thing, and he says, "Oh, I didn't charge you for the other 2 extra patties." So I said, "Okay, go ahead." So he only charged us for 2 of the extra patties, not for 4 extra patties. So we did that. So we get the bag. Cameron's in the car with me, and I say, "Please count the sandwiches." So he does. They're all there. We get home, and what do we have? We have Egg McMuffins with only egg, no sausage.
You went to this before.
What is... I guess I just don't learn my lesson.
You always have to unwrap it and check.
You do.
This happens to my wife all the time because she doesn't eat meat, so we get to take the meat off.
Right.
And inevitably...
It's the same thing, right? Over and
4
over and
out
over
of
again.
5 times they mess up the order.
Do they care?
No.
They don't. Marv, does this happen to you?
It has.
Yeah. It's very frustrating, isn't it? It's like, I'm going back. Well, we didn't have time. We were getting ready to go to church.
But that's that's the social order of the day. You can't go anywhere and get any good service.
No. It's ridiculous.
No matter where, even to the doctor.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Amen
don't
to
get
that
me
one.
started on that.
So this is the McDonald's over on Pacific Boulevard across from Taco Bell, another fine establishment that never gets your order right.
Del Taco. Think Del Taco.
Del Taco, is that better?
In my opinion.
Yeah.
But then again, I order a bean burrito. It's pretty rough to mess that up.
You'd be surprised.
I know, right? Well, no, because what they don't hear bean, they hear beef. Or they don't hear beef, they hear bean. And you get it home and it's bean and not beef or not bean or what.
That's why I always try to use a different word like meat.
Yeah.
Meat.
Can I have meat? They go.
Kind of sounds like beans, I guess. But
in some of their defense, though, I have sat and listened to people in front of me, and that commercial thing you just played, they're rattling off the order.
Right.
These people are going through this with special orders, left, right. Does that come with? Will it not? Can I not get this? Can I get that?
True enough.
And I'm going, holy cow, that would be rough.
It would be
8 hours a day they're doing, or 6, whatever they got to work.
But when they repeat it back to you correctly, and it's on the screen correctly,
it should be on the screen by that time.
Then it should be on the computer readout at their register correctly.
Right.
It all matches, right?
But somehow the orders that get processed don't line up with the ones that are on the screen.
Right. So whoever's bagging it. So that means somebody ordered Egg McMuffins with just egg.
This is why I cook at home.
Hey, man, I'd be able to sandwich at home.
Peanut butter and jelly.
I don't know. I'm just, you would think I'd learned my lesson by now, but oh well. So the other piece of the wine, it's okay. I tell people, you don't have to agree with me. Just write in. Okay. A very short note. This was on our YouTube. Because of the language used, I deleted it off the YouTube.
Ooh.
Hey, Monty Mess. After giving your show several chances, I have decided that no one died and made you guru of recovery. So why do you think you have the right to fill the internet with your... blank? It wasn't even as nice as... It was a lot worse. That was weird. My mixer's being weird.
A little echo.
Anyway, then this person says, keep up the insanity, you idiot.
Wow.
Hey, love you too, man.
You have a fan.
We do.
Finally.
What can I say?
Love that positive feedback.
Yeah. Oh, well. Okay.
Well, Marv can probably appreciate this, if I heard this long ago, right? If you ain't got nothing nice to say, keep your mouth shut.
Or send in your emails. Or comment on the YouTube. That's nothing compared to some of the posts I've seen on the social media recently in regards to other topics. People have lost their minds.
There's poison going on.
There is poison going on. All right. Okay. Well, that really does it for the weekly wine. I know what I wanted to share. I do actually have a win. Stop. Okay. I do have a win. Our son Colin has just been hired as the worship pastor for Life Family Church Assembly of God in Newberg, Oregon. And he and his wife Emily will be moving in November, and they had their first service this last Sunday. Yeah, awesome. So
nice.
That is pretty awesome.
That's neat.
And then our oldest boy, Cameron, who works for an agency that does custodial work for the Oregon State Police, their main office in Salem. And if you are inclined to pray for our son Cameron, because he has an opportunity to actually be a supervisor on day shift out of the main office, which is in Hillsboro. Is Hillsboro is that a town? Yeah.
Yeah, I was just there yesterday.
I always want to say Hillsburg. That's California.
There is a Hillsboro in California too.
Is there?
Yeah, it seems like there's the same cities in every state you go to.
Springfield.
Springfield. Also, I can think about Healdsburg, California.
Yeah, Hillsboro's, where is that? It's near
Pot Central.
Belmont, and there's it's where all the richer people live. Bing Crosby used to live up in the Hillsboro Hills.
Okay.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
Used to drive through there when we were back in our younger years and look at all the mansions.
Well, I'll tell you, nothing makes a parent prouder than, and it's definitely a win to see their kids, following their dreams and their passions and actually moving forward. And both of these kids are doing that, and I'm just so stinking proud of them. So that's a win. All right. We'll be back with the topic. Take what you need and leave the rest is bad advice. Don't go away. Hey there, it's the Monty'man. Did you know that Take 12 Recovery Radio and KHLT Recovery Broadcasting are listener supported? What that means is we don't receive any financial assistance from advertising products or services that have nothing to do with health or recovery, but are supported by you, our listeners. Any other promotions we commit to are purely our way of sponsoring other endeavors we feel are beneficial to the recovery community. Well, one thing we have learned all too well in our second decade of broadcasting is that we receive not because we ask not. Therefore, 3 times a year, we come to you, our listeners, for help. Because we are listener supported, we depend on your donations to keep us on the air. Our listening audience has helped us to do just that. And once again, we are asking for your support. If you feel that Take 12 Recovery Radio is a valuable part of breaking the stigma of addiction and a resource of recovery from the world's #1 health crisis, we ask that you consider becoming a Take 12 partner. To donate any amount or to sign up for a reoccurring monthly donation, simply visit our website at take12radio.com and scroll down to the bottom of the page and click on the donate button. All proceeds go directly to pay for our expenses to continue to bring you the best in recovery talk and positive music. Won't you consider partnership today? Thank you, and God bless.
Hey, check it out. You can now access all of our shows from a variety of podcasting platforms, including Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, YouTube, Podomatic, and Player FM. Simply search for Take 12 Recovery Radio, and you'll be tuned into the best in recovery broadcast journalism. Also available at take12radio.com.
He's insane. He's a control freak. So, what's your point? It's the Monty'man at take12radio.com on your internet dial.
Welcome back to the show. And by the way, I do want to thank all of our sponsors who have contributed over the years. Over the 16 years that we've been doing this. We cannot do this without you. Nobody gets paid here. All finances go to keep us on the air. And you've been very, very faithful. Now, we've lost a few major sponsors. So that is why we're continuing to reach out and ask you guys. But we've picked up a couple of folks that have given a one-time donation. And you guys know who you are. Thank you so much for doing that in the last few weeks. We appreciate you so very much. I got one today for $10 from somebody I'd never heard of. It's those little ones like that build up that actually, they're the ones that really, really make a difference. So thank you so much. Hey, listen, coming up in the next few weeks, and we'll be letting you know when they will be here. Author Suzanne Laura Thistle the author of Chem-Free Sobriety. If you're on YouTube, you can see the book there, Chem-Free Sobriety. This is a book of stories of people who have experienced sobriety not using chemicals, and their stories, some of their experience of what it was like when they were, using chemicals to try to, well, we've talked about this before, folks. Medicated assisted treatment. The jury's still out with me. I'm still not sure how I feel about that. Not totally for it. Not completely against it. But we're going to be talking about their book. 101 Trailblazers share wisdom and insight about their natural recovery from substances and substance use disorder. And then Rob Eckno, he is this guy is all over the internet. He is a Christian man. He is also a recovery guy. His book, Is It God or Coincidence? For you on YouTube, you can see it there. Is It God or Coincidence? An incredible book sharing his experience drinking, coming to grips with the unexpected wonders in life. So both of them are going to be on the show. Put that over here. So look forward to that, would you please? Okay, what did I do with my topic list?
You just put it in the book.
Put it over there.
I just moved it. What can I say? Okay, the topic: why take what you need and leave the rest is bad advice in my humble thinking process here, and let me tell you why I feel that way, guys. I understand the heart behind it. I do. But as many of the platitudes that are spoken in our 12-step rooms of 12-step recovery and others, many times they're taken out of context. Many times they're not really explained, and this is one of them. I see this statement, take what you need and leave the rest, as a statement that is made for those who want to customize their recovery process and not go necessarily with the instructions that have been laid out that have been a proven method of recovery for so many years. I get the heart behind, you hear something and you think in a meeting, well, that's just really wackadoodle. And somebody says, well, that's okay. Just take what you need and leave the rest. I think, though, when we tell that to a newcomer, what we do is we invite the newcomer to believe in their mind and their heart that they know what they need. And I got to tell you, when I got into the rooms of recovery, I did not know what I needed. And somebody told me this. They said, take what you need and leave the rest. And guess what I did? I cherry-picked what I wanted. I left the rest, and I did not succeed for many, many years. I was the 30-day wonder because I continued to take what I thought I needed, which was actually justification of what I wanted to hear and not what I really needed. And I see this happen in a lot of cases. Now, I like the way the NA Basic text in their chapter, How It Works, one of the paragraphs, it says, there is one thing more than anything else that will defeat us in our recovery. This is an attitude of indifference or intolerance towards spiritual principles. 3 of these are indispensable: honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. How open-minded and how willing are you if you're cherry-picking what you like and what you don't like? You're just kicking to the curb when it comes to what you're hearing from sponsors, spiritual advisors, mentors, or even fellow members in the room.
Can I tag in for a quick second?
Absolutely, you may.
So when I saw the topic, I totally went in a different direction because my experience has been a lot different from what you're explaining.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was in recovery, there was basically a lot of nonsense going on, the old 13-step in and the stuff, people talking about stuff that has nothing to do with recovery, or they go ramble on and there's different things that happen in meetings that we don't really. We're like,
really,
oh, here we go again. This guy's talking, or this girl's talking, or whatever.
That weren't really
recovery.
That's
where I hear people say, take what you need and leave the rest, because there's a lot of stuff that happens in open meetings, especially that. I get it. People maybe haven't had anybody to talk to or anything, and so they kind of just vomit all over everybody in the rooms.
Sure,
because they've had this all cooped up for so long inside themselves, and I get that. There's, that's where the love and tolerance and understanding comes in, because anybody that's been in recovery a little bit of time can understand that, looking back on their own stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so I was going to meetings every day for almost 2 years, and so you hear a lot of stuff that basically has nothing to do with recovery or, whatever, kind of taking off track of the idea or someone's own personal opinions. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where I heard that first, and that's kind of how I look at it. I don't know if there's anybody else out there that's had the same experience.
I have.
But yeah, that's kind of where, so I don't want to totally look at it from one side of this. I want to be able to share a different perspective on this.
No, I'm glad you did.
Because
that's why we have a panel of people here.
And the other part of that is once you get some time in recovery, and you sometimes you think about things that later on that you didn't think about earlier, and you're like, oh, this. I remember this person talking about this, and it had nothing to do with me or what I wanted to, that, like you're saying, had nothing to do with me or what my experience is, because our details are a little different.
Yeah.
Our experience is the same, but the details are different, you know, as we say. And so sometimes anytime we do anything in recovery, even or in service work, anything, seeds are planted.
Right.
So it's something that you hear, you may say, right, take what you need and leave the rest. It might not affect you now, but it could later on down the road, because the seeds are planted, and it may be something that will be of usefulness to you later on down the road.
Good point.
If any of that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does, and I have experienced that. I think my concern is in the phrase, in the title of this topic is bad advice, especially for the newcomer. And the reason I say that is because if I tell you that and I leave you with that by yourself, at least for me, if you left me with that by myself, I would do just that. I would interpret what I needed, and I wouldn't listen to what anybody else said. So I come from that perspective that, okay, Monty, take what you need and leave the rest. Oh, yeah, I can manipulate that really good. The fact is, again, the newcomer doesn't know what they need. They haven't got a clue what they need, right? But on the other hand, I do understand what you're saying, because the rooms are filled many times with no message and lots of mess. And there's not a whole lot that is helpful many times in some meetings, particularly some beginner meetings.
And sometimes it's only one thing that one person says, and it took like a whole 5 minutes, and the rest of it was just kind of filler.
Right. What do you think, Margie?
Well, it's interesting. I was talking to my roommate, and I live with other women in recovery, about this morning before we came over here, and she had an interesting perspective, and I kind of agree with it. If you're a newcomer and you really are truly new, especially to like the rooms of AA or NA, and this is maybe your first experience in the rooms, you could become very quickly like so overwhelmed with all the advice, the input, the sharing, and what you're supposed to do, and that it can be kind of tough on a newcomer to really figure out what they really need to do, and sometimes they're so early in their recovery they haven't got a sponsor yet to guide them, and so at that point in time, sometimes I think that this new person will just take what they need and leave the rest for that time period. But hopefully as they keep coming back and hopefully get a sponsor and maybe get into the book or something. They'll understand that it is a good idea to actually consider all the input, and because they don't know. When I was brand new, I didn't know I still don't know what was good for me or not, and
super overwhelming, all the information overload.
Yeah, and anyway, so I'm glad I talked to my roommate because I got that perspective, and I just know that when you're brand new, it can be really overwhelming. So just do what you can, take what you can, and take more later as time goes on.
And so the phrase may be better: take what you can at the moment, right?
Yeah,
and leave the rest.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
because you're right. It is overwhelming, and we always joke about that. The Charlie Brown teacher's voice, speaking when you first come in the rooms. Yeah, how much do we really hear? How much can you really take in? So good point, Marv. What's your input on this?
Well, yeah, I don't have a lot to say about it, but a couple of things. First of all, I do not remember ever hearing that phrase like that. Take what you need. The way I heard it was take what you can use.
Wow, now see, I like that, but I've never heard that.
That's the way I've always heard it, and that I've kind of camped on that from time to time. And what's interesting about, and I don't know if this is even relevant, but about leaving the rest.
Yeah.
Believe me, the rest will come around again.
It will.
Yes.
If you stick around, it will.
Yeah. And the thing about it is, that's interesting to me is what I found out, not all the time, but off and on, is when that stuff that I would perceive as a big mess at the time I hear it, maybe 2 years later, I'll hear a similar story, the same kind of thing, and have a different perspective because my thinking has changed. And so, and another thing too, it really doesn't have a lot to do with the fact that we all have different personalities, different perspectives, and how we pick this stuff up and use it. I'm going to do it different than Margie or you or Denver.
Yeah.
So, a lot of this stuff, the other thing I like to say a lot, and I may have to change this, but there's a lot of stuff you just don't legislate. You can't legislate.
Sure.
I don't know.
You can if you're overly opinionated and you start your own radio broadcast. You can legislate all you want to.
So we've been told.
Dictator.
But no, you're right. You right.
Just found that out through the email.
I sure did, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. No,
they told you.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I can.
It reminds me of that the saying, God only gives us what we can handle. Sometimes we can't handle.
And that's another one I don't like.
Only,
yeah,
getting up and making our bed. Maybe that's all we can handle that particular day.
Maybe. I don't know. I think God gives us way more than we can handle, so we will turn around and give it to Him. See, I have a different perspective on that, too.
Yes. It's all about you, Monty.
Well, it is my show.
Wow.
Yeah, Denver, what do you think?
I think everything that everybody has said here, I can chime in on completely.
Yeah.
That term, what was it you said, Mark?
Take what you can use, you said?
Take what you can use is a beautiful line.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout the walk, we're always changing in recovery. There's ups and downs. There has been for me. There could be more of them. I don't know. It's a journey during this whole process. And for me to have begun this and taken everything I heard in meetings when I first started going,
yeah,
I couldn't handle it.
Right.
Personalities really do play a large part of this. When I'm sitting in a room and I'm hearing somebody spew out stuff that I'm not here to hear that, and I'm not ready to hear that, not ready to receive it, and if I'm not going to receive it, then I'm not going to take it with me. So it's just kind of a waste of time. So I believe take what you can handle at the time and apply it. And as time goes along, what they did say, and I heard this mentioned too, what they did say, or what you've heard, is a seed that's been planted. Now, it may be one that doesn't go on and flourish, but also it could be one that over a year or so down the road, you're going, now that makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
So now I can receive that.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I'm not receiving it, I'm not going to eat it. You know?
Yeah.
It's just that way for me. It's human nature.
So I think a lot of this can be, I think a lot of this comes down to, and we haven't brought this up yet, but I think some of the listeners are probably, they're probably biting their lip right now because they'd like to be able to call in and say, what about sponsorship? Right? This is why sponsorship is so important. Because if you just leave somebody with a platitude and then you leave them to their own devices when they're brand new, you don't know what you're going to get. They're going to interpret it all sorts of ways. First things first. All right, you got those sayings on the walls, right? That most of them come from Al-anon. They don't even come from AA. First things first. Well, the first thing I got to do is I got to make sure I have a drink before I come to that meeting. And that happens, right? If it's an open meeting, you're welcome, as long as you're not disruptive. But for the grace of God, I can make all sorts of excuses around that. Take what I need and leave the rest. I can cherry pick that all day long. I need to have some guidance. I need to have somebody, and that's why there was such an encouragement for people that have had experience, people that have actually applied and implemented these 12 steps in their lives and are carrying the message to those who still suffer, to be the hand of that fellowship, reaching out right away. Right away. Because people come into the rooms, they haven't got a clue. And there are people that come into the rooms that are court-ordered, that don't want to be there for any reason whatsoever, and later seeds are planted, like you guys were saying, and they're glad they stayed. There are people that are there that don't want to be there at all, that are maybe pressured by their family, but they're going to go because they want their circumstances to change. There are people that are there because they really do want to change the direction of their life. Some want to develop a stronger relationship with their Creator. Some want to stop doing whatever it's doing that's causing them pain, but they are motivated for change. And there's all sorts of reasons why people are in the rooms. And when we leave them to their own devices and we leave them with the platitudes on the wall, I'm afraid we do them an injustice, unless we have someone to guide them. And in this issue, take what you need and leave the rest, right? If somebody had explained that to me, kind of like how you did, Dave, at first, I'd have been able to understand that more. But what happened was nobody approached me for weeks when I was in the meetings, right? I asked for a sponsor. Nobody would volunteer to be a sponsor. And so I was left to interpret these things out of my own justification and my own self-centered, self-seeking motives. And what that did is I twisted these things to fit my agenda, and I was the 30-day wonder. I kept using every 30 days because I had no guidance whatsoever. And I think a lot of these problems can be solved by somebody, even if they're not your sponsor, somebody coming alongside you and being the hand that reaches out, the hand of AA, the hand of NA, that reaches out to be a guide and help direct and share experience, strength, and hope. You concur with that, Dave? You think we need more people that can actually step up to the plate and help the newcomer?
Well, I was just thinking about that as you're talking. It's like, it's, kind of the thought processes in a lot of I don't know, places, meetings, whatever you want to call it, classifications. People show up, they show up for one day and then they never come back.
Mm-hmm.
Or they'll show up for 2 days and the 2 meetings and they'll never come back. And I think that's people don't get plugged in with anybody that's new because of those reasons. I've heard it many times. People have even said that. It's like I put effort into somebody, and then
they're gone.
They're gone. I spent whatever, and for me anyway, I look at that. My personal faith. I have to. They're not exclusive, right? So my recovery and my faith, they go together, and so I have to look at the same things in life when I deal with people, right? Mm-hmm. We're meant to go and help others, right? Mm-hmm. And so it doesn't say only help them if they show up to 6 meetings,
right?
Or on Tuesdays at 3 p.m. or whatever,
Only if they call you when it's convenient.
It's at 24/7, right?
Yeah.
And so I think, whatever my opinion's worth, that we need to reach out to those people that we see at meetings, even if I only have like a month, and somebody else comes in and they say I've been sober for 12 hours, I need some help. Yeah. Or you can tell in their voice. Step up and go up there and say, yeah, but I know exactly where you're at. I was there only a month ago. And by, continue to come, by asking for help, by, whatever, talking, here I've got a month, or whatever it is.
Right.
I had a good group of people, mentors guiding me. And, if the need was there, right? If I got 6 months of sobriety and somebody else comes in a room and my sponsor says, you're going to go sponsor that person, I go do it. I can say, yeah, but I only got 6 months. You got 6 months more than that guy does. Mm-hmm. So you can help that person. I think we don't give ourselves enough credit for where we're at in recovery, that we can't help someone else, especially if we've been helped. Right. We always got to look back, like, how did I get sober? What was it like for me in the beginning? Sometimes we forget about that, especially today, thinking about this, right? 16 years. Like, what did I do 16 years ago?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or 15 years ago or 14 years ago. What was I doing to help other people that come into the room? Do I wait till they show up? Maybe early on I probably did that because I listened to what other people said, but if someone's reaching out for help, like I told that story about the guy showing up to the meeting. He said, yeah, I turned left to the meeting and I was going to turn right and go home and kill myself.
Right.
Now I don't want to kill myself.
Yeah.
And he didn't talk at all in the meeting. He just listened to us.
Mm-hmm.
And so, even that is very powerful. So we just can't give up, and we got to put it out there. When someone says, hey, is there anybody in the room that wants to be a sponsor? Raise your hand. Mm-hmm. You got 6 months or more? Go for it, man. Because there's people out there that don't have anybody.
And even if you're not being a sponsor, if you could be somebody that is willing to, how'd you get to the meeting? Well, I walked. I can bring you tomorrow. Let's go out to coffee. I mean, I know with the COVID thing and all that's not happening as much, but most places are opened up now as far as limited seating and that kind of thing. You could take somebody out to, you could go get some coffee at a drive-thru and go sit in a park.
In our addiction, did we make excuses why we couldn't go get meth?
Right.
Right? Or alcohol? We figured out a way. It's Sunday. They don't serve alcohol in my state. Well, I'll go drive to the next one. Right?
Yeah, I need to, when I go see my dope dealer, I need to make sure I'm wearing my mask.
Right. Or, maybe he's delivering now, they're delivering door-to-door now.
Door-to-door drugs, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm a firm believer you can't give you can't give away what you haven't experienced. You need to be able to do that. That's why it is so valid that if you're in a 2-step program, that you do the 2 steps. If you're in a 12-step program, that you do the 12 steps. Whatever program you're in, you follow the program so you can give it away. because we are responsible for the person coming in, that we don't leave them to their own devices, that we don't leave them abandoned in a chair in the back of the room, right, to listen to a platitude and interpret it on their own. Because I don't know about you guys, but when I start interpreting things on my own with no experience, I mold it the way I want to, and it never works out well.
And we got, even like you said, you were talking about COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so how many of us are on Facebook more these days? You see people out there reaching out or saying, hey, I'm struggling today.
Yeah.
I had somebody that, I saw on their Facebook said, can someone please call me?
Oh, yeah, I've been seeing a lot of that.
Okay, so I don't see, this was like a few hours ago. There's no comments or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I sent a private message. I said, hey, give me your number. I'll call you.
Yeah.
I called this person and they're like, yeah, my mom's dying and I feel like you're getting high.
Oh my gosh.
And so we sat and talked and, I kind of talked her off the edge. I mean, we had history because she used to be one of my clients, but once a client, always a client. And so we talked for about an hour and it's like, we have to do these kind of things in our recovery because it doesn't only help them, but it helps us.
Yeah. You bet it does.
I mean, and how hard was it for me to send a couple messages and make a phone call? So yeah, exactly. And I got a hunch, knowing you, that it wouldn't have mattered if you knew him or not. If somebody wasn't responding, you were gonna send him a private message anyway. I usually send people, when I see that, I usually send people a message anyway and say, hey, if you want to talk, I'm here, and usually no one ever follows up. But
so let's switch it up a little bit. What is something that you didn't think you needed, and so you ignored it, and later you found out that you did need that when you first came in the rooms? That maybe you would have said, I'm just going to leave that because I don't like it. But later on you found out you really needed that regardless if you liked it or not. So Denver, can you give me an example?
My huge one is fellowship. I like to be alone.
Great.
I do. And that's not a bad trait for me. I mean,
right.
I enjoy being alone, out in the sticks by myself, but fellowship is really important.
So there's a difference between enjoying being alone and isolating.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's a word, isolation, that is a horrible one. It'll send you down a bad path. But being alone, I don't see a problem with that, but I do realize that I have got to continually be in fellowship.
So when you first came in, you were not so excited about fellowship, but you later realized that is something you needed. You didn't need to leave.
Correct.
Yeah.
I can't leave that alone.
Right.
Because then I will my solitude will turn into isolation.
Mm-hmm.
So sooner or later, I need to get out and I realize that even in these times, I still need to stay connected with people, and whether it's through social media or a phone call or this radio show,
right?
Work, wherever it's at, I have to have fellowship.
Marv, what about you? Is there something when you first came in the rooms that you thought, well, I know why you first came in the rooms. It was for somebody else, right? Yeah. But was there something you thought, nah, I don't need that, and later on you discovered that you did or that you could use?
Well, I hate to... I have to go along with what Denver said, quite frankly. I was very socially inept.
Right.
I didn't like people. Still have trouble with that.
Mm-hmm.
Some days.
But what the meetings and that fellowship have done for me is got me in an acceptance mode.
Right.
A while back. And I struggle with it yet today. But I do it because what I've learned, this is just an opinion, that God meant for us to be in community.
Mm.
And as much as I fight against that, that's still a struggle for me today. Now I could go on and on about other stuff, but that was a biggie. I'd come in, I'd sit by myself, I'd sit with my back against the wall, the old...
Right.
The old people were as close as Margie is to me. I was very uncomfortable. I wanted them to get out of my bubble, and a lot of that has changed.
Yeah.
and I'm grateful for
Margie, you're in his bubble a lot, right?
Yep, I am.
But that's a good thing. What about you, Margie? Is there something particular that you thought, nah, I don't need that, and later you found out you did?
Yeah, well, when I very first came into AA, 25 years ago or so, I didn't think I needed a sponsor. And I actually stayed sober through the grace of God for a year or so. And then I actually did get a sponsor at that point in time. And later, now more recently, when I came to Albany and I did get a sponsor, I didn't think that I don't know. I didn't really want to listen to her about everything. And
Sure.
I didn't want to do the work. I didn't think it was, because I was thinking I've been in this program for 25 years. I've read the Big Book a million times and the 12 by 12, and why do I have to read it again? And I didn't want to do that stuff. It seemed, silly, but I realized that I did have to do that stuff to stay sober. And I still don't like a lot of stuff my sponsor wants me to do, and now I know that I can talk to her about it and disagree with her if I have a valid reason, but I do most of the stuff that she suggests. She has 36 years, so I pretty much follow her suggestions, even though I'm not really
always like them.
Yeah.
Some of them you'd rather leave, but you do them anyway.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, Dave, there's one particular thing in particular that you were like, man, I don't need this, and later on you found out, yeah, I really do.
Just one.
Give me a big one.
Everything.
The only thing you have to change is everything.
I don't need any of this.
Well,
give me some coffee.
Back before I got actually in recovery, I did the treatment deal and went to and people would tell you got to go to meetings.
Yeah.
And so I would have to say meetings because it kind of started the process of everything else. Because when I first, of course, I wasn't ready when I went in there early on, and this was probably 25, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, see, I was 27, so it wasn't quite that far back. Anyway, I walked in a room. This is back when you used to smoke in the rooms, and all I heard was people talking about drinking. And I was like, how the hell can you stay sober?
Talking about drinking.
If all you do is talk about drinking.
Uh-huh.
And so, of course, I had a bottle under the front seat of my truck. And when I left, I went drinking. But, now I look at it and go, yeah, I wasn't ready at the time. But I totally agree with what Denver and what everybody says. But, the whole isolation thing.
Yeah.
Because I'm comfortable in my own skin. I can hang out with my dog and my wife and,
right,
or by myself and be okay with it.
And be okay, yeah.
And I first started going to meetings. I would go in right as they were starting, maybe even like a minute late. I'll sit in the back row. I did the same thing at church for a while. It took me probably about a year before I actually went out to coffee. I had to see everybody and what they were really about, because after a while you can see who's real and who's just faking it.
Yep.
And so then I picked my group of people that I went out certain meetings. I would go out to coffee and start doing that. That was super uncomfortable, and I felt it was easy for me to just sink in the, kind of what Marv was saying is sit off in the corner with your back against the wall. And even though you're still in a room full of people, it's it was difficult, but I had to push through that. And I had to get involved with church and different groups and outside of church and with some of the same people. And so it was a process. It took me a long time because, I isolate. I never let anybody in my bubble for my whole life. So
that was a challenge for you.
Super anxiety. When I go to church, I remember going to church and there'd be packed, and I was doing, I was running the camera for services, And I would just go straight. My focus was, there's the door I have to get into, and I'd go right through the people, focus on that door, and go upstairs, and then I'd be like, you know. And then I get people afterwards be like, "What's up? Is everything okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, everything's fine. Why?" Well, I was like 2 feet away from you, waving at you, and you didn't even acknowledge me.
Interesting.
And I was like, you know, it has nothing to do with you. It's just I get anxiety when I'm in big crowds of people.
Yeah.
And those are the things that I learned. I mean, that's what, you know, drinking helped me manage those things.
Yeah. Yeah, you bet. So for me, interestingly enough, when I first walked into the rooms of recovery, I had it years earlier. I had given my heart to Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. I thought, you know, it was one of those emotional conversion experiences at an altar at a little Nazarene church. And I thought because I had gone through the, you know, checked off the boxes and gone through the motions, that I had actually had a spiritual awakening or had a spiritual experience of some kind.
Planted the seeds.
Yeah. It was a very immature experience. It was not one that I nurtured at all, but I thought that I had arrived because I had done what the preacher had said. That meant I had this relationship with God. And so when I came into the rooms, I was very grateful to see God in the steps. I mean, I heard people say, if I saw God in the steps, I wouldn't have stayed. Well, but they did stay, and God was in the steps. And so, you know, I always kind of chuckled at that. I, for one, was very grateful to see God in the steps. But I really was convinced I didn't need that part. I didn't need step 3. I'd already turned my will and my life over to the care of God as I understood him. Back in 1971. Why do I need to do step 3? So I took what I needed. I left the rest. That was the rest. I don't need that. And I was listening to what they told me. Just take what you need and leave the rest. I don't need that. Right? And so then I tried to apply and implement those steps in my life, and it wasn't working. Because the very thing that I thought that I didn't need, I needed desperately. I had a religion relationship with God. I had a churchianity relationship with God, but I didn't have a personal relationship with God. And until it was pointed out to me by my sponsor, I want you to take everything you think you know, and I want you to put it in this box and put it on pause. I said, yeah, but everything? He goes, everything. Well, what about my belief in God? Everything, he said. I want you to assume that you need all of this. You can't leave any of it. So I want you to do that. So I agreed. After many relapses, I agreed. And it was interesting because my relationship, same God, but my religion turned into a relationship. And it's never been the same since. And it was through the application and implementation of those 12 steps in my life, through the guidance of a loving sponsor, right, and a loving God. And so I refer back to that paragraph in the NA Basic text. There is one thing more than anything else that will defeat us in our recovery. This is an attitude of indifference or intolerance towards spiritual principles. Did I have indifference and intolerance? Absolutely, because I thought I had arrived. Because I had made a conversion motion when I was younger. So I was intolerant towards anything you were going to tell me. I was indifferent towards it, right? 3 of these that I cannot be intolerant towards, right? That are indispensable are honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. I wasn't being honest, because if I had been, I would have been honest about my need. I wasn't open-minded because I had decided that there wasn't anything you could teach me, and I wasn't willing. Why would I be willing? There's nothing to be willing about. I've already arrived. Something else is wrong where I can't put the plug in the jug. I don't know what that is, but whatever you're telling me it is, that's not right. I've got this. And that didn't work. And so I had to become totally honest, open-minded, and willing all over again. And thank goodness I had a sponsor that kind of held my feet to the fire, you know. And then when I had moved from the original area that the first meetings I was at, and I was up here in Oregon, I found a small group up in Sweet Home, Oregon, where I met my sponsor. and things started to change, you know. But bottom line is, I couldn't stay sober on the platitudes. I had to do the work. And I think that's the case for most of us. Any closing thoughts, Denver?
Have a great week.
Yeah?
That's about it.
Yeah.
Interesting topic.
Yeah, it is.
Like I said, it is a balanced scale. I took Dave's opinion right off the get-go here, the way I took the topic today. But
right.
It was interesting.
Yeah. Marv? Closing thoughts?
Yeah. One, kind of maybe coming at it sideways.
Sure.
All this talk about sponsors and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously a necessity for most of us or all of us. But one thing most important to me is to meet people where they're at. You can be a sponsor, have a lot of years of sobriety, know that book inside and out, and come upon somebody, and you need to meet them where they're at.
Not where you're at.
Not where you're at.
Yeah, good point.
So
really good point.
Yeah, I think that's something important in my life. So,
yeah.
Anyway.
That's really good. That's really good. Margie, closing thoughts?
Yeah, just like what Marv said is good. That's great. Also, just it's important that you get to the meeting and then just kind of allow God to kind of guide you and direct you to what is important for you and what you need at that point in time.
Yeah. Amen. Dave?
Easy does it.
But do it.
But do it. Just, especially for newcomers or newer people out there, be easy, be gentle on yourself. Just, take it a day at a time, but do something every single day.
Every single day. And you have been every single day for 16 years. Congratulations again on your sobriety birthday. And thank you for being part of Take 12 Recovery Radio, buddy.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. And next week we're going to be doing your show entitled To Overcome Solutions for Life Today. And do you have a topic yet? Or are you going to come?
No.
Okay, but we'll let them know before the show like we usually do on Facebook and social media.
Okay.
All right, so you don't want to miss that show as well. All right, so our closing song, so I want to let you know, on Saturdays we post a show called Radio Rehab, The Road to Redemption, hosted by our friend Brian Duncan. Brian is a multi-Dove Award winner. He is a Christian contemporary recording artist. He's also a recovery recording artist. And Brian does this show. It's a 30-minute show of some of his favorite music, including some of his own music, as well as commentary on recovery, really as it is applied to him over the years. It's some powerful stuff. It's very positive. It's very uplifting. And that gets posted every Saturday at take12radio.com on your internet dial. Brian has a song called Sweet Friend of Mine. We consider all of you listeners friends of ours. And here is Brian introducing his song, and then we're closing out this show with the song Sweet Friend of Mine by Brian Duncan. Here's Brian.
I use the letters SFOM in a lot of my social media. It is simply an abbreviation for Sweet Friend of Mine. My conversation CD and the live experience were both completely crowdfunded by people who've believed in me and my music for decades. I see my audience more now as friends than fans, really. I even wrote a song called Sweet Friend of Mine to express how it felt to have people who really support and believe in you, and I started calling my supporters SFOMs. Because they are sweet friends of mine.
My sweet friend of mine, you got me feeling like I can make it today. My sweet friend of mine, got me believing every step of the way. Say what you will, say what you won't, but if anyone can change my attitude on anything, come down to who I'm talking to, spending time with you, and I'm free to set my sail again. I get stuck in the every step of my way. My sweet friend of mine, you got me feeling like I can make it through next week. My sweet friend of mine, got me believing, sweet friend of mine.
Hey there, my friends. I don't want you to miss out on more of Brian's great recovery music as well as recovery commentary, a production of Take 12 Recovery Radio right here at take12radio.com. Every Saturday, it's Radio Rehab, The Road to Redemption with Brian Duncan and friends. Listen, all you have to do is click on take12radio.com, go to Recovery Workshops, and there you'll find Radio Rehab. There'll be a new posting of it every Saturday for the next several weeks. 30 minutes of recovery-focused music and recovery commentary. All right, until our next broadcast, this is the Monty'man along with the Take 12 Recovery Radio family, and we are wishing God's perfect serenity for you.
This has been a broadcast of KHLT Recovery Broadcasting.
'Cause she's a super cat, she's super kitty, meow.
Yeah, kitty, 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 meow.